Thank you so much for joining me on Ethocast. I'm Eddie Francis, and joining me is someone I'm really excited about talking to because, as I mentioned in earlier episodes, I wanted to get an idea of what the national umbrella organizations look like. And well, I decided I was going to ask the good folks from the National Pan-Hellenic Council, and they said yes. And Donna Jones Anderson, she's the national president of the National Pan-Hellenic Council. And so welcome to Ethocast. How are you?
I am so good. How are you?
I am doing well. And so, right before we started the interview, I was explaining to Sister Anderson here that I had been involved in NPHC. So, North Dallas is where I had the opportunity to get involved with PAN when I was part of the Rho Nu Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha. And now that I'm back in New Orleans, back home, I was a member of the Sigma Lambda chapter at one point. And so, I was a representative for the Greater New Orleans PAN. And so, it is a pleasure to talk to you. And for folks who may not know what NPHC is, tell us about NPHC and what you do.
NPHC is the National Pan-Hellenic Council Incorporated. Pan-Hellenic means Greeks all, so it's all of the Greeks together. We started with about 4 chapters originally, 4 organizations, and then the next year the other 4 joined, and then in 97, the IOTAs
Mm-hmm.
joined. We were the Elite Eight,
Yep.
and then we became the Divine Nine. So
Yes.
if we have a tenth one, I'm not sure what the name will be, but
Okay. I know. I've been thinking about that though, because I have been thinking, what if we get a 10th? What's it going to be?
I have no idea what that would be. We do have an organization who's interested, but they
Oh,
don't.
wow.
We're not sure if they fit the criteria. There is strict criteria when the IOTAs joined. We have
Yeah.
strict criteria as to what the composition of your organization should be.
But
So
I actually think that's really cool that there's an organization that's interested in making us a 10. So I was initiated into Alpha in 1989. So it was, well, we were calling it the Great Eight if I, back
yeah,
then,
it could be
but
the
the
grade
Elite,
A. Yeah,
yeah, the Great Eight, the Elite Eight. But yeah, when there were eight, and then I remember the news of Iota Phi Theta making us the Divine Nine, which I thought was really, really cool. So,
very
um,
cool. Very
yeah, so
cool.
when you take a look at what NPHC does,
Mhm.
um, let's start with you. Let's start with your story. So, what's your sorority, and what attracted you to Greek life?
My story is I'm a member of Delta Sigma Theta, Sorority Incorporated. I was initiated at Mu chapter at the University of Pittsburgh. We just celebrated 103 years. So I'm in a centennial collegiate chapter that has rich history all throughout Pennsylvania and in Pittsburgh. I was drawn to Delta because my older sister went to school prior to me, went to college, and all she talked about was deltas and Qs. And so when I was in high school, there were 5 Black girls in my class. I went to private Catholic school,
Hmm.
and me and my best friend vowed that we would be deltas. We were going to separate. She was going to University of Delaware. I was going to University of Pittsburgh. So I went to Pitt. I became a Delta. She went to University of Delaware, and she wanted to pledge Delta, but it was a little harder, I think.
Hmm.
Um, and they had a charter chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. So she's on the charter line of Alpha Kappa Alpha of University of Delaware. She was my best friend in high school.
Oh.
So we at Pitt, it was the best years of my life.
Mm.
Campus were the best. We were maybe 8% minority, so we all of the Greeks were so close, and
Mm.
we all stuck together because it's a big, huge campus. But it was just like a family. It didn't seem like we were only a small minority of the campus life. We are still on Facebook to this day. I was in Atlanta for the Celebration Bowl, and there was a picture of all the council presidents, and I'm there also. And a Zeta from my campus, when I pledged, sent me a picture. She was there in the audience. She's like, "Oh, this is you." my nephew went to Jackson State, and he's now a champion. So
Oh,
uh,
that's
the,
cool.
the connection is so real, and that's sort of what drew me to NPHC too. Is that family atmosphere of the fraternities and sororities that pledge together, that were in the yard together,
Hmm.
that work together, that have family together, that married or
Hmm.
have so many connections. It really is like a family, and so I was offered the opportunity to go to a meeting because I wasn't associated with NPHC on my campus back in my day. They have a really thriving NPHC there now, but
Hmm.
I was offered to come, and I said, "What's NPHC?" And she said, "It's Greeks working together." And so I went. I was welcomed by the president, who was a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha. She was the sweetest, nicest person. I came back. I became the secretary. Then I became the president. Then I became a regional officer. Then I became a national officer. So it just kind of propelled me into this life. And I love every single minute of working with Greeks and our community and doing public service and finding partners that align with us and finding partners that want to help elevate us, like the SBA and
Hmm.
the Red Cross. We're helping people with sickle cell by giving blood all over the country. We're doing it's amazing things that we can do individually, but when we're together, wow, it is
Hmm.
really powerful. And so I that's my goal this year. We have our national leadership conference every 2 years, and so this year I'll be going on out of office at our conference and in October, into October, and I want to elevate the partnerships even further. We're talking with um, people that really need us, like people that need donations of kidneys, people that need the blood donations that we talked about, people like St. Jude's and the kids that need help with cancer. So we do the fun things and we do the stepping and we do the socializing and the fellowship, but we do the service as well. It's all wrapped up into one neat package that makes us the Divine Nine.
So you mentioned some of the programs and initiatives that the National Pan-Hellenic Council is doing. What are a couple that you are really proud of and that you have seen do some really good work?
Well, I received an email a couple of years ago from someone from Macy's, and they were inquiring about how they could partner with the panel council. And then I usually set up the meetings for the council presidents meeting every month, and so they were invited and they pitched their proposal for the sorority dresses, and now they have fraternity wear at Macy's. If you type in Divine Nine on Macy's.com, it should bring up the collection.
Hmm.
They've given millions in scholarships to the sororities so far,
Oh,
and
wow.
the fraternities will be benefiting as well. So it was a concept by folks that work there that were in the fraternities and sororities, and that concept turned into fruitful cooperation and beneficial for our collegiates and those that receive the scholarship funds. So it's wonderful. We have Good Health Wins, which is uh, a collaboration that happened during COVID for us to get out the word about getting the vaccine because there was
Hmm.
hesitancy about getting it at first. And Good Health Wins was connected with the National Institute of Health and no, the other one that's in Atlanta, the
Oh, the CDC.
CDC, yes,
Yeah. Centers for
CDC,
Disease Control and
yep.
Prevention. Yeah.
hmm
Hmm.
And so they wanted us, and so we vaccinated and gave information to millions of
Mm.
our constituents through events, fun events. Like food and vaccines and fashion and vaccines and so all kinds of unique uh, experiences all over the country to get people to get the vaccine, and we did. It was really, really, really successful. All of Us Research is with NIH, and they
Yeah.
are trying to get us to sign up to be clinical trial participants, because
Mm-hmm.
the normal clinical trial is someone maybe Caucasian at 60 years old. And that medicine might be perfect for them, but for us, it might not work as well.
Yeah.
And so if we're not in that process for the clinical trials, it's hard for us to make sure that that medicine is going to be good for us as well. So they're trying to get 1 million people signed up for clinical trials. And we have JP Morgan Chase for financial health and wealth. They're giving money to collegiate councils, giving them financial information before they graduate, going to different cities, and even internationally supporting our organizations with the financial information and service that they give to the community. Uh,
Did I see a big scholarship announcement from the Celebration Bowl from
yes.
NPHCs?
So the Celebration Bowl was the $20 million check, which is
Yeah.
it says greater than $20 million. All of the organizations, the nine, plus the monies that NPHC has collected in the 2023-2024, totally exceed the 20 million. We were being
Wow.
modest about that, but our organizations give greatly on the
Yeah.
local level. The local councils, the local chapters and councils give money to the high school students. Our regional level gives scholarships, and the national level gets millions of dollars in scholarships we give every year for all of
Mhm.
our organizations. So it's just a testament to what we do together in sync and cooperation that can be very fruitful for our community. And we just wanted to let people just know a little bit about that. So people are talking about that $20 million.
Absolutely. It's kind of a big number.
It is, but it's lots of we have we have good sponsors
Yeah.
who help us, and then our members give scholarship funds out of their own pocket. So that
Mhm.
local given out of your pocket, and then with the sponsors, and then other partners, and scholarship luncheons all over, and
Mhm.
scholarship galas, that all feeds into that $20 million.
I think that is such a great point to make because from community to community, you'll have your detractors who'll say, well, we see that, we'll see that y'all are having a good time and we'll see that y'all are stepping and stuff like that. But what are you really doing? And then there'll be a gala and they say, okay, well, y'all are being fancy at the gala. But what people don't realize is that the reason a gala is there is to raise scholarship money because, I mean, one of the greatest assets anybody can have is their education. Very sorely something I'm not going to say is needed in the Black community. It is beloved in the Black
Right.
community for us to be able to help each other with education. And so I love that you make this point that when you put it all together from around the country, you actually do see some kind of movement there. Speaking of which, it was something that I talk to one of my colleagues about all the time. So I have a colleague by the name of Mike Ayalon. He has this organization called Greek University. They represent me as a speaker, and one thing Mike says is, I really wish that the other fraternities and sororities could get their alumni as involved as the NPHC fraternities and sororities. And when you think about that, how does NPAC facilitate that kind of involvement? Because we know that, and with among the Divine Nine, our alumni, we can't wait to mentor, our college brothers and sisters. What role does NPAC play in that?
NPHC and all of the Divine Nine organizations are a lifetime commitment. It's not just college, it's not just after college for a couple of years. It's you go to college, you do your service and community involvement there, and then you go home or go to a new city and you join a council, and then you and your local chapter, and you're financial with your local chapter. You go to national conventions and conferences and leadership for your organization, and you also attend events with NPHC, with the collective organizations. So it's our founders. We stand on their shoulders,
Yeah.
and we don't want to let them down. They worked so hard to start our organizations, and they marched early in 1930s. And 20s and 30s for civil rights and women's rights and the right to vote and all of that. We can't stop. We have to. It is a lifetime commitment. We have sorors and fratters who have 75 years of service in
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
organization, and those are the ones that we look up to, we aspire to, and when you can't help but feel um, wonderful when you do the service in your community and see the results that the organizations have, the impact is just incredible. And if you're
Mm-hmm.
not financial and you're not working with your organization, then join and join the feeling
Yeah.
because it is there. And so we are a proponent of that lifetime time commitment continuing way beyond your college years. And how do you do it? I don't know. We need it for our community. We
Yeah.
don't have an uncle, at a major corporation that can get us in. We have to we have each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we do help each other get into corporations, but we definitely need to continue our service beyond our college years.
And I think something that even we as members forget sometimes is the abuse that
Mhm.
some of our founders took in founding these fraternities and sororities. So they saw something so much bigger than themselves. And it wasn't just having a good time. It wasn't just getting together and having smokes or whatever and teas and things like that. Like you look over the history of the founders of the organizations, there's this consistency that they just wanted to do something that meant something to Black America overall, and it
Yes.
wasn't about just that one thing they were doing at that one time on campus. So I love that you mentioned the impact of really recognizing the role that our founders played in alumni members just remaining involved. I mean, I know look, I'm at a point right now where I'm not as active as I'd like to be with my alumni chapter, and I feel pretty guilty about it. you know? So that is very real. All right, so last question here. Let's talk about your vision. You're about to wind up your term with NPAC. What's your vision for NPHC going forward? How do you want to hand the baton off to the next national president?
My vision is that in all of our major cities, we have an NPHC place to go for all of our meetings and our events.
Mm.
We have an NPHC sort of like uh, event center.
Oh, I love this. Okay.
And we don't have to go to hotel this or hotel that for
Yeah.
our luncheons or our balls or our galas. We have our own place. And we're hiring our members to run it. We're hiring our collegiates to be their service. We're keeping the money within our community and in our D9 family, and we're growing our wealth by
Mhm.
by continuing to have the scholarship endowments of $1 million, so that the interest will give scholarships every year for in perpetuity. So those Divine Nine event centers would be so awesome. Dallas could have one, Philly could have one, DC could have one, Detroit. We got to get there. Um, I talked to one of the this spring in Baltimore area, and they said they had the opportunity to buy a building, and they didn't take it, and now
Mm.
they're giving all their money to, you know, this one caterer. Every time they have a
Mm.
crab fest, and the tickets are $100, right? So, if if we can get there, we can grow our economic um, prowess and be even more powerful. and we can have events for other groups
Yeah.
and activities for other groups, and they pay us. So that's my vision for NPHC, and to keep going and have those endowments forever to give scholarships to our youth who need it desperately.
I'm gonna
Um,
put my money that if anybody can pull it off, it would be Dallas. Dallas can one of the NPHCs or maybe all of them can
all
get
of them
together
together. Yep.
in Dallas because I have to say, there were times when I was sitting in those meetings and I'm going, okay, what's going on in here? What are we talking about? But everybody wanted to be there and everybody wanted to work together and to be with one another. And I do miss that. I miss that about the North Dallas Pan. But Donna Jones Anderson, National President of the National Pan-Hellenic Council, thank you so much for joining me on Ethocast.
You're welcome. Thanks for inviting me. It was a pleasure.